Prime Video finally released some official images from the Fallout TV show. I've avoided commenting on all of the leaks and rumors that have come out before now, but now we've got something official and concrete. The images are really exciting, and I'm eager to see the Fallout universe come to the big screen. However, the images do raise a few concerns with me. Each of the images came with a caption, and Prime Video released an official summary of the show. We learn that the story takes place in the ruins of Los Angeles on the West Coast, 200 years after the apocalypse. Okay, this is a number we're familiar with, as the events of Fallout 3 take place 200 years after the apocalypse of 2077 in the year 2277. They specify this a bit more by saying that it's exactly 219 years after the apocalypse. With the events of Fallout 4 taking place 10 years after the events of Fallout 3, that means this story takes place 9 years after the events of Fallout 4, which means we could get a canonical ending to Fallout 4 if they make reference to events that happened on the East Coast in Boston during the events of the show. I kind of hope they don't do that. But with the show taking place in Los Angeles, the NCR should be involved somehow. After all, we learned from the events of Fallout 2 that the LA Boneyard, that is Los Angeles, was absorbed by the NCR and was still part of NCR by the time of Fallout New Vegas. And New Vegas takes place in 2281, between the events of Fallout 3 and Fallout 4. The show centers around the survivors from Vault 33. Vault 33 hasn't been mentioned by any of the games so far, and it's numbered according to the way that vaults are numbered on the West Coast. So far, so good. One of the major characters is Lucy, an optimistic vault dweller. Her father, Hank, the overseer of Vault 33. A nameless ghoul who's a wasteland bounty hunter with a mysterious past. And Maximus, a soldier in the militaristic faction called the Brotherhood of Steel. Amazon Prime Video describes the Brotherhood's mission as bringing law and order to the wasteland. Whoops. Okay, we've stumbled upon a bit of a problem. That's not the Brotherhood's goal. The Brotherhood of Steel is a technology cult. Every single Fallout game makes this crystal clear. The Brotherhood of Steel hoards technology because they believe technology is what caused the apocalypse in 2077. They think technology can be too easily abused, and so it needs to be kept by safe hands, namely their hands. Bringing order to the wasteland isn't their goal. Stealing technology from people in the wasteland, that's their goal. And indeed, any time the Brotherhood tries to make the wasteland a better place, they get a lot of pushback from other members of the Brotherhood who think that they're out of line. This was a huge part of Fallout 3. Elder Lyons, who was in charge of the Brotherhood in the capital wasteland, was helping the people of the wasteland. He wanted to get the water purifier working to help the people of the wasteland. He didn't care about hoarding technology. Because of that, the West Coast elders cut off communication with him. An entire group of his soldiers splintered off and became the Brotherhood outcasts. Even some of the ones who stayed, like Scribe Rothschild, were really upset with him for not focusing on the Brotherhood's true goal, which is to hoard technology.
We were dispatched with a specific mission. We were sent to locate and secure any technology remaining from before the war. Lyons knew that, but ignored it. He decided it was more important to save the people here than to obey orders from his superiors. Finally, things came to a head. Lyons directly refused orders, and so the West Coast cut us off. No communications, no reinforcements. I appreciate that Lyons believes he is doing what is right, but he should never have disobeyed orders.
And in Fallout 4, when we meet the Brotherhood again, they make a point in letting us know that the Brotherhood has changed. They are no longer the same faction that existed under Elder Lyons, who's constantly trying to help everyone. No, they have gone back to their roots. They are again a faction that searches for technology to keep it in the right hands.
A decade ago, the Brotherhood had almost gone completely astray. The Elder before Maxon sent us down a path that was leading nowhere. He was more concerned about charity than the preservation of technology. But when Maxon took over, he single-handedly reprioritized the Brotherhood from the ground up. and put us back on the path to glory.
None of that is mentioned here. They don't mention technology at all. Yes, the Brotherhood of Steel is a militaristic faction, but they have no desire to bring order to the wasteland. Their only desire is to hoard technology. In fact, in the ending slides for Fallout New Vegas, unless the NCR is there to keep them at bay, the Brotherhood of Steel patrols the roads of the Mojave, not to keep order, but instead
harassing travelers over any bits of technology they had.
My concern here is that the show is forgetting the identity of the Brotherhood, which is really important for this faction. It's possible that my fears are ill-founded. Maybe they do a really good job of explaining it. Maybe there's some elder on the West Coast that decided to pull a Lions and start helping people in the wasteland. I just don't see that from what I've read here. Instead, they come across as a prototypical big bad authority trope, which we see in so many movies and TV shows. If that's all the Brotherhood has become in this show, I'm going to be really bummed out. Also, the timeline here is tricky, and I won't spend too much time on this, but according to the events of Fallout 2, the Brotherhood of Steel is a pretty weak faction on the West Coast. During the events of Fallout 1, they were underground, but they were still a substantial faction. During the events of Fallout 2, they were significantly weaker. Since the events of Fallout 2, the West Coast Brotherhood of Steel lost a bunch of people with their first failed expedition to the East Coast, which crash-landed in Chicago. These are the events of Fallout Tactics. They lost even more people during their second and ultimately successful expedition to the East Coast under Elder Lions. These were the events of Fallout 3. And again, with their expedition to the Mojave Wasteland during the events of Fallout New Vegas. Arthur Maxon's Brotherhood of Steel on the East Coast during the events of Fallout 4 is the most powerful the Brotherhood has ever become. So I really wonder how the Brotherhood of Steel can become this huge, powerful, militaristic faction in Los Angeles, a territory of the NCR. Let's not forget that according to Fallout 2, the original home of the Brotherhood of Steel got absorbed by the NCR. It's now a territory called Maxon, according to Fallout 2. The NCR plays a huge role during the events of Fallout New Vegas. Their presence in the Mojave Wasteland is much stronger than the presence of the Brotherhood in the Mojave Wasteland, and yet everything that we've seen so far in this TV show is about the Brotherhood as a major faction and not the NCR in Los Angeles, which is part of NCR. I'm concerned and confused. The piece offers a quote from director Nolan that says, "In the absence of a federal government, you just had all of this military hardware lying around. But at this time in the story, there was a federal government, kind of, the NCR, which is, as far as we know, the only functioning government in the continental United States in the Fallout universe. Did the showrunners forget about the NCR? Are they not mentioned at all? Did something happen to the NCR, which tipped the balance of power between the Brotherhood and the NCR 9 years after the events of Fallout 4? They don't even mention the NCR in this article, but they have to address this issue in the show. Otherwise, it won't make sense why the Brotherhood is as powerful as it is where it is, and not the NCR. And then there's this. Look at that. It's the Pridwin. Oh, wait, no. That's not the Pridwin. See, that's the Caswenon. Caswenon. All right, well, the name tells us why it looks exactly like the Pridwin. According to a 16th century edition of the 12th century Liber Landavensis, Caswenon is the name of the sandbank upon which King Arthur's ship was wrecked. But later in 1764, a poet named Evan Evans repeated the story about King Arthur's ship wrecking there, but actually changed the name of the ship from the Pridwin, or the Gwynedd, as it is sometimes called, to Caswenon. And I'm probably butchering the pronunciation of all of these Welsh words. But in short, Caswenon is an alternative name to Pridwin. They're both names for King Arthur's ship, which makes sense for Fallout 4, where the leader of the Brotherhood is Arthur Maxon. But he's on the East Coast, not in Los Angeles. Brotherhood of Steel lore is steeped in Arthurian mythology. Maxon, Saxon, Arthur, Pridwin, now Caswenon. The issue is that this is taking place on the West Coast. The Pridwin is a unique, distinct vehicle on the East Coast of the United States with an established backstory. We learned from Captain Kells aboard the Pridwin that the Pridwin was built from the ruins of the mobile base crawler, which is destroyed Enclave technology that the Lone Wanderer destroyed during the events of the Broken Steel DLC for Fallout 3. So the only reason this airship exists is because the Brotherhood of Steel salvaged a bunch of high-tech components from the mobile base crawler, stole a reactor from a nearby aircraft carrier, and assembled the Pridwin. It's not like this was manufactured on an assembly line and the Brotherhood of Steel was just pumping out airships. No, this was a distinct, unique, one-of-a-kind vehicle. And yet this Cast 1 airship looks identical to the Pridwin. How is that possible? Was there another ruined mobile base crawler somewhere on the West Coast? I mean, I gotta give them credit. It looks great here. Seeing the Pridwin, which is one of the most amazing vehicles in all of Fallout, here on the big screen it's a delight, and I'm thrilled, but from a lore perspective, it shouldn't be here. Now, I'm not saying that the West Coast chapter of the Brotherhood of Steel didn't make a bunch of airships. They did, as established by the events of Fallout Tactics. Now, some of Fallout Tactics is unlikely to be canonical, but Bethesda has come out and said that some of the events in Fallout Tactics did indeed happen, and if some of the events happened, they had to move from the West Coast to Chicago, and if they did, they went by airship, which means the West Coast chapter of the Brotherhood of Steel did have airships before the events of Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, and Fallout 4. So seeing an airship on the West Coast is not surprising to me. What's surprising to me is that the airship looks exactly like the Pridwin, and the West Coast Brotherhood of Steel should be fairly weak, according to the lore, and certainly compared to the East Coast Brotherhood of Steel under Arthur Maxon, which means they have fewer resources, which makes me wonder how they were able to construct their own airship that has a very similar name to Arthur Maxon's Pridwin. But you know what? I'm not saying it's impossible. It just needs a really good explanation. And look at this, it's Megaton? What? What's Megaton doing in Los Angeles? Oh wait, no, this isn't Megaton, this is Philly. Philly, as in short for Philadelphia? This doesn't, what? This is clearly Megaton. This is supposed to be a scrap city. The idea of a scrap city is fine. Of course, there's going to be a little city made from scrap and salvage on the west coast of the United States of America in this post-apocalyptic universe. I get that, that's fine. But this scrap city is Megaton, complete with the airplane sitting on top of one of these buildings. I mean, this is awesome in that we get to see a live-action recreation of Megaton, but it shouldn't be here. Megaton is a very distinct, unique city in the capital wastelands, built around the remains of a nuclear bomb that didn't detonate, and the reason there's a giant airplane in the middle of town is because the town itself was made from a bunch of airline scrap. But, you know, I suppose it's possible that another scrap city on the other side of the continent was also made from the ruins of destroyed airplanes, and they just so happened to almost look identical because they were made from the exact same components. All right. It's possible. It's possible. I just saw this image and I screamed Megaton. It reminded me of Megaton, and I don't want everything from the games to have a carbon copy in this show. I'm excited that the show is telling a different story. It's not retelling Fallout 3. It's not retelling Fallout 4. It's telling a brand new story in a post-apocalyptic wasteland set in the Fallout universe. That's great. And if that's the case, then I want to see new cities. I want to see new factions. I want to find new themes. I don't want to see the exact same stuff that I've already seen before. I don't want to see Megaton. I've already seen Megaton. I don't want to see Lucas Sims, only whoops, he's a ghoul this time, but he's still a cowboy and he's still in Megaton. Whoops, it's not Megaton, it's Philly. I don't want to see the Pridwin. I've already seen the Pridwin. I want to see a new piece of Brotherhood technology. If we have to have a new piece of Brotherhood technology, because I'm honestly kind of sick of seeing the Brotherhood of Steel in absolutely every single Fallout game. Especially when it's the NCR, not the Brotherhood of Steel, that's the most powerful faction in Los Angeles according to established lore. I'm probably just overthinking this. We don't have a whole lot of information. These are just images. I'm probably just reading too much into it. I just really want this show to be good. So bad. After what happened to The Witcher, after what happened to Halo, I just really want this show to be good. Anyway, so those are my thoughts after seeing the new images that Prime Video released. And I will still say that I'm cautiously optimistic. I haven't seen anything yet that really destroys it for me. Except for maybe the cars. They should be Corvega cars, not clearly Chevrolets. Corvega is not Chevrolet. It's okay. It's okay. It's just cars. They're just cars. Doesn't completely ruin it for me. So I'm crossing my fingers and hoping for the best. How about you? Will this be ruined like every other video game adaptation to film and television? Or do you think they're gonna get this one right? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. I publish new videos each and every week on my channel, so if you don't want to miss my next one, be sure to subscribe and to click that bell notification button. If you have already but you still feel like you're missing out on YouTube notifications, consider following me on Twitter at Oxhorn. I update Twitter manually with every new piece of content that I publish. I've got a merch shop with completely unique designs that you can't find anywhere else. My designs come on shirts in a variety of men's, women's, and children's sizes and in a wide array of colors. You can find them on other things like smartphone cases, pillows, posters, mugs, stickers, prints, etc. So if interested, you can find a link to my shop in the description below, or you can click here. If you like what I do and you want to support me in another way, consider becoming a patron on Patreon or a member here on YouTube. YouTube members get little badges that appear next to their names in the comment sections of my videos and access to ox emojis that they can use in my video comments and in the live chats of my live streams. But more than anything, I'm just so glad you're here watching this video with me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon with more live streams and more lore videos.